my fellow dragons, this is Dragon Lover 95 here with, well, more project topics. And if you are in stream and such, once again, you know the ordeal. Have some snacks, grab a drink, keep a plushie nearby in case, and get all comfy. Be waiting for you guys who are now coming in or just starting to come in. If so, then welcome, welcome, welcome. Because this is definitely going to be an interesting stream. I know it. Now, let's just say this one was one of the ideas I've had for, I'd say, a good chunk of months now. And, well, let's just say I wanted to share this with you guys. And I want to know exactly, out of curiosity, what do you guys pretty much think of these ideas I share with you? Because I want to know exactly. I have been curious about it. But for now, we're going to be going over this specific topic. That being my own edition of a Fnaf style story. And, well, let's just say when it comes to gameplay, it will have your traditional Fnaf setup, but with a few tweaks and such. I think the ideal would be is using flashlight to stun these animatronics and to get them to go away, like in FNAF 2, but you're basically aiming the flashlight at them from the different angles just to get them to leave you alone. Or if one basically just happens to be not as hostile and they're just there to give you a friendly greeting because their eyes are normal and not glowing very much like killer robot mode, then it's all good. I feel as though that mechanic could work, considering they may be not so quirky, they may be quirky. It depends. Hellos, and welcome. Now, again, each night would definitely get difficult depending on how well you perform and such. And after each session, well, you do get a certain type of story progress. Yes, there is a bit more story to this. But let's just say during like daytime, it's a bit more interactive, as well as very much getting to know these animatronics and the specific staff who work there. And this place is called the Medieval Fun Fair, an amusement park actually. Now, let's just say it's a medieval style, and there are different areas. You can read the title of this if you're curious. If everyone basically wants to know, you can read the title, what's being said, what's basically shown. It isn't that hard to figure out. So, yeah. You can do mini games, there are interactions, and see how things are going. And at night, well, that's where all the fun stuff goes even further. Sure, it can be scary, but in the end, it'll be all good. But it really depends with the animatronics mainly. You see, each of them has a unique quirk about them, and if something disturbs them or provokes them, they act up during the night, and they are not too thrilled. They may pretty much say, oh, this was just an accident, or they didn't really mean it, or something like that. You see, there's a little something different about these animatronics, and allow me to show you guys, because I kind of did show before, but I didn't really explain because I had another person involved, so I get to share them. Just give a moment. Here they are, these specific animatronics. Yes, I pretty much got a little creative with these guys. Now, I actually did do some hand drawings of these guys. And as you can see what their names are, so it's a little bit easier to tell who is who. Just gives me a moment, people. I'm getting the thing so you guys can see. Okay. Firstly, we have the main star of the group, Samuel the Red Dragon, also known as the Mighty Red. I kind of based them around the idea of more of the Western dragons, which are much more bulky, and the main concept is red. And I kind of took inspiration off of the drawings, and I was like, why not make an animatronic that's based on a dragon? Because I've never really seen that many. Trust me, I haven't. And this is what I readily came up with. Next we have is Queen Lilith, who is a dream dragon. She's more of the storyteller, and well, she acts more of the motherly type, and she's kind of like a bit of Toriel, except she actually is a bit more serious taken rather than just doesn't really do too much. I'm sorry, guys, but I admit it. Yes, people, that's how she's pronounced. It's Lilith, not Lilith, because there's no I in the name. Next up is Checkers. You could say he's kind of the Duke. And he basically has a restaurant. Basically, what makes him special? Well, he encourages families and other people to make their own treats and such. It's kind of like a fun little activity. And if he does, and even if he does look kind of serious, he actually loves those who come in and such. And if people really want to know, he's basically based around the idea, well, the two different types of animals. He's actually a cross between an owl and a panther, or a black jaguar, if you want to be precise. And I don't know why I gave him a green hat and tie. I just don't know why. I just did. I guess I just wanted to add a little bit more color to it, but not too many. So that's where you go. Shyla Dazzle, who is basically the main singer of, well, the park. She basically takes song requests by people and fans, and she basically does that. Now, here's the thing. She was actually bought from a rather older carnival that actually went into bankruptcy and was actually being sold. And the owner happened to come across, and he figured he could definitely make use of a unicorn because it fits the whole fantasy theme. And that's exactly where she ended up. Keep in mind, Charlotte, she had a rather really bad transition. And what I mean is that she's had a horrible, horrible time where she used to be. She was in a pretty poor state, but they fixed her up, and now she's good as new. Next up, we have Gordy, who is a gargoyle. Now, the thing about Gordy is that he is inside a giant clock tower. And he's the one who basically, whenever the chime goes off, he basically is the one to inform others, it's 12 o'clock, it's showtime! Or, it's closing time, it's closing time! Yeah, and the idea would be is kind of a talking way. He's also a meet and greet. A lot of these guys are meet and greets and really interactive with the audience. I'll get into that a little later. Next up, you got Sir Anthony and Silver Arrow. I did the best I could with the outfit, guys. The way I describe these two, think Gaston from Beauty and the Beast riding atop Scooby Doo. That's your image right there. Now the thing with Anthony's attitude is that the play on thing is that he is the knight that's trying to beat the mighty red. But thing is, Samuel is a very kind of, he's actually not bad, honestly. But there's a bit more lore as to why these two have some sort of strange history or something. That's just meant put into the story. Well, story-esque of what's been written and such. And Silver Arrow, he's a bit more of a cautious one. And, well, he's a big old scaredy cat. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But their main goal is to practically be like, say, in stage settings like plays. And that basically sums up best. Lastly is Patches. He is an imp, but he's dressed as a jester. And they're quite mischief causing. And the thing is, people probably think, oh, he's probably one of the evil animatronics. Well, not really. He just looks evil. And his main job is to pretty much be the sort of guide, per se. He's an animatronic that's very fluid and able to, well, have a lot of movement. He interacts with a lot of people, and overall, just a lot of fun, you could say, because that's what jesters do. It's their main thing. I want to know what you guys are thinking right now. Oh? Eh. Come on. Work. Okay. Oh? Oh, what kind of animatronic? I really want to know. A pizza roll, you mean? I guess that makes some sense. But yeah. Want to know what makes these animatronics really special? Is that they are really advanced. Like, they are advanced AIs. Able to think, able to process pretty much. They are basically going by their program, but they still interact like they're practically alive in their own beings. That's why they basically act differently during nighttime. It really depends on what the kind of people come into the park and what they do with the animatronics. Like, if it's all good, then it's going to be an easy night. However, if they get provoked or something happens, then they aren't going to be too friendly to the night guard. That's what I pretty much have to say. But other than that, it's perfectly fine. Now the owner of the park, they aren't like William Afton. Far from it. They pretty much wanted to make a park where they could actually have have a good time and such. Oh, you mean Patches? I mean, kinda? Is it because they're jesters? I guess. Except he's not super crazy looking. He's just covered in the patch pattern. Anyways, back to the owner. They basically refer to as Ashton. And they basically really wanted to make this park work. And so hired some of the best skilled engineers and best who know animatronics and such, give them very fluid, have them be very lively and such. That stuff. And by the years, the park actually built up a good reputation. It's a family park. Yes, it's not too extreme, and it's not really super advanced. but it is a place where family and friends can actually go to during, say, like the warmer months and such. And it's always been pretty smoothly. However, some good things don't always last. And no, the park doesn't close. Rather, there are points where some things happen. Like some guests end up mysteriously go missing, or some get severely injured either by the animatronics, or the animatronic is gone and no sign of the guests. Some actually get suspicious about it, but no one basically pays that much attention about it since the animatronics, they don't seem to be out of the ordinary. They're perfectly fine, and it's all good. Nothing too suspicious. Oh, and I will pretty much give you a kind of an idea exactly just how big we're talking here when it comes to Samuel and how big he actually is. Yep, he's pretty tall. Tall. He's actually the tallest compared to any of these animatronics. You have Freddy Fazbear, you have Willie, and that there's Gold's character, Montgomery the Bat, or Monty for short. Now, here's a little bit of detail here. What makes these animatronics so special is that they can eat to preserve energy and just turn that into their abilities. Like, Samuel can breathe fire, or with Charlotte, she can basically exploit, well, a light show which is indicative magic. That basically gets you the idea. So yeah, nothing too bad. But there are points where they basically would need to have their charging and such. Think like Baymax, kinda. That's literally how I can describe it. It's kind of like with Baymax. I don't think I've heard of that. What exactly is dark deception? Can you let me in on it? Anyways, I'll pretty much I'm gonna pretty much show you guys the pictures. The hand-drawn stuff I actually did. So look forward to that. Don't mind me, people. That was just the dogs. But hopefully you guys can see. There's Samuel. Lilith. Oh, I mean, I do. In fact, it's plugged in, but it's not pretty much letting me. Yeah, I don't know why it does. I don't know why it does that. But anyways, uh, no, no, I have not. Here we have checkers. Oop. Shyla Dazzle. Gordy. Also, this indicates that he can stand on 2 legs and all 4s. Yes, Charlotte is a unicorn, like I brought up. Now, here's a better redesign of these two. Yes, a big horse that is actually kind of a scaredy cat. I'm really glad this turned out so well. And lastly is Patches. Well, that is all of them. Let me know which one did you like mostly. I'd like to know exactly what you guys think. Okay, Worlds basically wants to apparently she just wants to come in and such. Okay. A moment, people. Alrighty then. I guess for certain details and such, when it comes to the animatronics acting differently and just how dangerous they can be, well, let's just say they're big and they're considered to be dangerous in some ways. And honestly, it is best to be cautious. And I do mean that. I mean, 2 examples that when I mentioned about earlier how something's actually end up going kind of wrong or something happens and such. No, there isn't any faltering in that. They work fine. It's just different categories. Okay. I guess I could go a little bit in the background and details and such. Now, Charlotte, she came in a bit later when the crew actually started to band it a bit better. She was basically kind of like Mangle in a way because of how broken apart she was. Now, the old park she basically was at, she was to a point little movement. Like she did move, it's just that she wasn't very lively and such. She was an interactive animatronic next to a carousel. However, some older kids ended up dismantling her, leaving her in this state. So park owners didn't know what to do to fix the damages, so they tossed her in part of a junk pile where older animatronics that were also basically not well kept basically ended up. So by the time the auction came up, she was bought, refurbished, and now she is basically in a much better location. Now, these animatronics, the one who actually saw her mainly was Checkers. As a point, he checks on things. And he assures her that the place is safe and that people people will love her and treat her as family and such. Now, Charlotte is at the beaming point, very lively, so forth, you know it. But then, later onward, about a few years later, the same group of kids that vandalized her back from the old park came in, and she instantly recognized them. And it was not going to be fairly. Why? Well, mention how animatronics can act up and such. Yeah, she basically was the one acting up. She did not like the way they did that to her. How they basically poked fun at her, how they basically called her a hunk of junk, how no one would like her because she would be ugly, that sort of stuff. So basically, her interaction would be is she insisted that she would give them a far more interesting song by going into an enchanted forest region, which was near, well, Patch's location. And Patches basically saw the whole thing of what went down. No one else knew. And when those teenagers went there, she basically beat them to a bloody pulp and eventually killed them. Yep, she basically did do that. And a lot pretty much did not suspect it. Because the carnival actually because the park was very loud and such, no one was able to hear them and they were far away. So the only one who knew was Patches. He didn't know what to say or what to do. He didn't pretty much want to tell anyone yet. But he feels as though Charlotte had a personal vendetta and they've had a talk and it was understanding. And well, they eventually the other members kind of found out too. And even though it was something that hasn't been heard of and it was rather shocking to them, they fully understood why she felt justified. I mean, that's understanding. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hello
Hi.
worlds.
Sorry. Did I come in the wrong time?
No. I was just finished anyways. Also, what are you thinking this? What did you think thus far of this?
It's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, you never thought a unicorn would actually do that.
True. But I had been thinking, I was thinking about giving away my Five Nights at Freddy's OC, but I don't know if I should because I still need to. I don't know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you had animatronic.
Yeah, I do. She's a
Care to?
purple wolf.
Kind of like Roxanne.
Yeah, but she's purple and she works in a daycare.
Oh, if maybe she could actually be like Lila's assistant.
Maybe. I'm still thinking if I should or should not give it away.
Look, that's up to you, okay?
I know, but I know I'm only gonna use it once. Just like my other characters I think I
It's
do.
okay.
And I kind of forgot about them. So should
I
we try
noticed
to
your
walk
comment.
this?
I noticed that one of your comments says "poor baby" in bulk.
I know! Poor baby needs hugs.
Well, you're not one of those type of people who would basically do any vandalizing on her. So by all means, it's all good.
Okay.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay.
So you're mentioning about the camera?
So let's go on settings. There's a setting below your thing says camera slash mic. So try going there and go on camera. The thing should be popped up or not. And
Okay.
your thing should be plugged in.
Oh, okay, like the okay. Now I see.
Try see if that works.
Okay. Hey, it works. It works. It works.
See, that wasn't hard. You could go on advanced and it could make your.
Oh,
I don't know
speaking
what
of
it
which,
would do.
speaking of which,
The camera froze. Oh, there it is. Ah, that's so cute.
that's supposed to be you. Up there be gold, and this here be me.
Hey, redo my hand. Make myself giving a finger to gold. Just kidding. I'm kidding. If gold wants to this, I'm sorry.
I know.
Trust me. You do not want to. I do not want to start things with gold, but half of me wants to give him the middle finger.
I know you're just joking. But anyways, here's a bit more clearance of these guys. I know you did a coloring of Samuel.
Yeah, I did have it. I do have it. It's on your profile, but I deleted them on my phone. Because I had too much storage.
It's understanding. Look, I'm not mad. Lilith. Yes, she does wear glasses, guys. If I may ask you, Ree, what do you think?
I like her. She reminds me of Cat.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why, but she reminds me of Cat.
Is it? It's the glasses, isn't it?
Yeah, but her personality sounds the same.
Well, she is technically Mother Dragon.
Ruined Cat's mother. Cat's like a mom into the group.
And what do you honestly would say Samuel is?
I don't know. It's hard to explain.
He is technically the mascot of the place.
I think he's okay, but I don't really know his backstory.
Don't worry, I was gonna get to that. I was gonna get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I can't stay long, so I'm gonna have to get going soon.
It's okay.
Legs. The legs are a little small.
Well, that's supposed to be cat. That's supposed to be cat-like.
No TikTok.
There's Charlotte.
Yeah. She's a white unicorn?
No. She's her main coat is. It's just that her mane has a bit of purple and pinks into it.
Okay.
Here's Gordy.
Is he named after Golden?
No, Gordy. like but it's like a meaning of rock.
Okay, but it reminds me of gold.
Well, he's a gargoyle, and gargoyles tend to have like a bat-like face and wings.
True.
He's based on the traditional gargoyle.
All you have to do is put him gold and then he'll be gold.
Silver Arrow and Sir Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did well with the redesigns.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have the Jester Boy himself, Patches. What do you think?
Uh, I don't know. All I know
He's a,
is his clothing are wild or crazy.
he's an imp.
All right,
Thanks for the
you're doing
camera.
great.
Thanks for the help with the camera, and don't worry, I was just gonna get to the other animatronic who also had it pretty badly.
Okay, well, happy to help you. I should get going. Have fun
Yes,
with your live stream.
can do. Well, everyone, that was a nice little visit. Anyways, what I'm getting back into. Now, Gordy, let's just say, unlike Shyla and what happened with her, Gordy has a bit more of a different history with him. Let's just say he was one of the early animatronics that joined alongside Samuel, along with Checkers. Patches was like the third edition, and Gordy, well, he was finished being molded and such. Now, the thing is, his outer exoskeleton and such, the shell that he has, is actually made from very smooth rock. Yeah, smooth rock where you can touch, and it basically feels like the tower and such. That's the kind of feel he has. But let's just say that kind of would be a downfall. So don't judge, okay, people? There's reasons for this. Now, Gordy, like I said, he's a meet and greet. He really likes to interact with a lot of people. He really likes getting attention and such. And sometimes he'll just move from the tower when the time basically passes by. He can join in with the crew, and they do a little song and dance number. You know, good old good old showtime and such. Oh, and he has this sort of speech impediment like this, like caveman talk, but he's pretty smart. Don't believe me? He basically would be this. Me, Gordy. Me friend to all. Nice to meet you. Me like you. Gordy not know better. Gordy just being Gordy. Be Fred. That not very nice. Something like, yeah, there's your little examples there. Now, for a few years, he did pretty much have, like, say, some fans who really did love him. And one kid in particular wanted to really see him. But there was an incident where there weren't any guardrails, and let's just say it was not a good day. The older sibling forces the younger sibling to go over and get a photo with him, but that's being forcibly pushed. And then Gordy tried to break it off. Before he could, however, he stood up, but he accidentally tripped and then he fell. Not realizing he fell on the younger sibling. And that basically caused him, and that caused some kind of issues. And let's just say it was by this point Samuel, he was a bit more advanced, and he basically did get help. He basically called those who basically were in the area close by, and they basically got those to the hospital, covered the damages, and then some. But after the traumatic event and such, Gordy, he insisted himself that he be put away for the time being, say like a couple of months. Not very long, but he just needed some coaxing. He would never hurt anybody, not intentional, as he was even his appearance, basically what he's described as, he may look scary, but he's actually really friendly. As in, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. So some tickets were actually sent to the family that was part of the incident. Basically, the young kid and the older sibling went back, and Gordy was there. And the young kid, he knew that it wasn't Gordy's fault. And the older sibling apologizes for how terrible he was. And Gordy, he pretty much was able to forgive. And it turns out it was Samuel who sent those tickets. Because he feels as though they really did deserve like a second chance. So in a way, that's how Gordy was. And for many years, no other incident happened, and there's always going to be staff nearby just in case something like that were to happen again. So there you go. That's mainly with Gordy. You could say he's more of the sympathetic of the group. That's pretty much how I could briefly describe. Now, I didn't really work any other drawings on the others yet, but I will try to. Oh, okay. Well, for those who are still around and such, I'm glad you stuck. I'm glad you're sticking around. Okay, descriptions with the others. Ashton basically sees that even if Samuel was doing a great job at doing what he's doing, he kind of looked like he was kind of lonely. So, what better yet than to pretty much give him something he could be happy about? So, they got to work, and Samuel questions what is going on, but they said, oh, it's a surprise and nothing for you to worry about. He got suspicious, but he just let it be. And it turned out that they were making Lilith. And Samuel immediately fell for her. Like, he was just, you could say, the high heavens. And, well, she became basically the type of animatronic you can actually meet through a walkway. There's actually this giant cave that's basically a walkthrough and such, and it tells the tale and such, and she basically is the one reading. That basically is her territory. But sometimes Samuel will be around because he's a movable animatronic. He walks around and such, and sometimes he may use his wings. Yeah, those wings are super strong. I'm not even kidding. And she will tell the tales. She's a storyteller. She'll basically take those requests, just like Charlotte. But she gets a little more serious when, shall we say, some things go down. And she handles it rather the normal way, or let's just say you try anything, she's not afraid to pretty much get physical. In fact, that's kind of how she is. If you were to have to see her during the night hours. Other than that, she's a very lovely dragoness. And her ideal and abilities are dreamlike. As in, it's a type of smoke that'll basically fill up like dream-like, and others will be enchanted. Basically, it's like actual magic, even if it's just a smoke trick. Yeah, I'm not really kidding on that one. Now, with Patches, he is a troublemaker at times. He encourages kids to act a little A little naughty, like a little pranks and such, and a little wild, but never too out there. And there's even points where he's kind of discussion about the whole demon things, but some parents they got a little prejudice about the whole, oh, he's a devil, that thing shouldn't be around and such. Even though clearly this is a fantasy kind of park and such, and devils and demons and such are technically part of this. So basically, they don't buy that. However, let's just say when no one's around or no one paid attention, and patches, let's just say the patches on his outfit, it was torn. And he was basically kind of powered down for the time. Like he was just charging, like sleeping. So when he woke up, he finds himself in a horrid state, but he then sees who did it, along with vandalizing his stage and such. He was not too happy about it. So he basically kind of has this little device where he can actually go and activate the animatronics rather sort of defensive mode. And basically, they act aggressively. He didn't want to do it to his fellow companions and such, but he really didn't like how these people could get away with it and not be punished. So, bottom line, don't mess with the jester who is basically an imp who's just doing this just for fun. So sorry, but I'm afraid that you messed with the wrong jester, I'm afraid. Oh my! It seems I caught you red-handed, and now you're going straight to where the big man downstairs lives. Have a nice trip. Something like that. He would kind of have that kind of voice that's kind of whimsy, but at the same time, kind of frankly. I don't know how frankly would sound, but that's basically how I can describe it. Oh yeah, he can even sit on that pole of his. Pretty flexible, if you ask me. Now, as for the, well, two remaining ones, Samuel and Anthony, they have an interesting lore and story to tell within the stories. Basically, stories of the Mighty Red, which is basically how a powerful dragon ruled over the lands and such, and would cause desolate to landscapes, take livestock, take treasure, destroy villages, you know, that stuff. Now, these dragons were meant to be not just very powerful, but they know of their power and their might and how they should be respected and such. Little did they know was that one of the villages, this was where young Anthony lived, a farm boy no less. He saw his family get practically murdered by this mighty red, and even if he was even if he was scared at first, he knew that he wanted to make that creature pay. So throughout his time, he basically trained and basically built up a reputation taking care of beasts and such. So in his town and such, he is in his kingdom, he's referred to as a hero because he's one of the very few who would dare take on a mighty creature, a mighty beast. He may be cocky, he may have some of the attitude like Gaston, but he is doing for the goodness of his fellow people. But little did he know, Samuel has changed. And that's confusion right there. That sword of his basically wouldn't really do much to him. And Silver Arrow, his mighty steed, basically is cautious and, well, he's a big scaredy cat. However, if his best friend is in serious danger, he will push that aside to be replaced with, well, think like a bit of Thundercats a bit. Yeah, you can definitely take the idea for that one. And, well, on Samuel's end, he was basically exploring a specific area, the mountain regions, and he discovered a type of pearl. And he took it, but it gave him the knowledge and ability to understand other creatures and was granted whatever the wish he desired. But since he's able to think now a little more prospectively, he realizes the errors of his ways and that he doesn't want to live like that. He decided to change things and be much more of a kinder king. So, with that magic, he basically built up his land where everyone could live in harmony and such. And, well, he's made fair deals and such, including making amends with the mighty knight, the solo knight as he's called. Of course, let's just say it's a back and forth thing. Samuel's never been angry with him, he's understanding, but Anthony, he just pretty much literally accepts that Samuel's different and he's pretty much been better. That's mainly how the story goes and such. And Lila basically would tell this story. And a lot are very awed by it. Now, let's just say animatronics like say the duo. Now they basically don't often attack. However, if it's basically kind of a challenge that you kind of postponed, they come after. You clearly didn't accept the challenge. You're going to leave me hanging? Well, maybe you shouldn't have challenged at all. Or something like that. Now, Samuel, even though he may look nice and such, he would definitely be the most dangerous. Why do I say that? Well, let's just say he still has that sort of dragon in him and he's really, 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 he doesn't take kindly to those who steal his stuff that are important. And especially for how things would go. And hello and welcome to stream. I really, really hope that you at least find out that this is basically me describing the main star himself now. So yeah, Samuel, he gets aggressive. He can actually go on all fours, believe it or not. And if you had taken an item from him, aka something like his staff or his crown, he's not going to be happy if you don't return it by the time your shift ends during the daytime. And, well, Him being a dragon, him being very big, he could crush you, he may breathe fire. Those are the ways that would go. Oh, and and also there's also the type of story I came up with that sort of shortens up. Samuel, he's not fully innocent. And then again, it makes sense. Yeah, and it's about to get. You know how I briefly mentioned from other streams that these are taking inspiration from the Fazbear Fright series? Well, this is basically one of them. As I describe Fazbear Fright, I like to think it's like a Goosebumps type of thing. Like, you're gonna get some good ones, you may get some bad ones. You know the deal. So yeah, there are these older kids, and one of them is a girl who happens to pretty much go with her friends to the amusement park, and now her friends are real jerks. They basically dared her to try and steal from Samuel. Basically, something, oh, they probably have like replacements or something. And no one's gonna notice. This park basically is big enough, no one's gonna notice. Well, when Samuel basically is done with his little show and such, he goes and has his own, he goes to have his charger, which means he's just taking a bit of a snooze. While he's basically off, she goes and steals the scepter. And when no one looks, they leave. And then right afterwards, there's news, and it's Samuel who's basically. Yeah, you are like the only one on stream from what I'm noticing, but I thank you for coming. I just want to make these streams so that people could actually have some interesting interactions and such. I'm sorry you had to come in a little later because I showed the animatronics. Hang on. What?
You almost did a really good job. Oh, you forgot one thing.
About stream. I'm doing stream. I am sorry, guys. I am sorry. Oh, no. The story isn't over yet. Yeah. Samuel is basically doing an interview with the newscast and such, and he basically describes that those who don't fess up to their crimes will face with a terrible consequence, or they will have a horrible fate bestowed upon them. And this girl basically gets paranoid at the very thought. Now, this is out of the anxiety and such. However, things were okay at first, but later on, say like a day or so, things start acting up. Like strange sounds could be heard, saying strange animal noises could be heard, and during the night was a nightmare. This happened for, say, later on in the week. And Samuel is that mighty red dragon. He's horrifying looking. Think like those nightmare animatronics. And he is chasing. The room is like dark. The area is rather hard to navigate through, and this dragon is coming after. She runs and she runs, but she just can't, and she feels that the breath of the very beast behind her. And then wakes up, realizing that there's no point in keeping the scepter. Basically, and what a coincidence, her friends basically come over again and think that they got free tickets to go to the amusement park. You remember the ticket thing that happened with Gordy? Well, this is happening again. They basically go, and it's a really nice day. But this girl's rather very anxious because she is going to be meeting this dragon who's causing some trouble. There's a brief mention of Lilith, who basically looks rather content of what's going to happen. They go to Samuel and she returns the item to him. She apologizes and he accepts it, saying and that it was a dare from her friends. And Samuel, he gets kind of the idea of something. Now, this is actually gruesome. This is what's going to happen next, people. Samuel insists that he would go talk with them in privacy. Now, this is the actual Samuel animatronic. And you know how I mentioned about the ability of him eating and breathing fire? And those claws and such? Yeah. They basically question why are they there? He basically brings up why did they do it? Why did they dare this girl who clearly didn't want to do it? Because they thought no one would notice and that she was stupid enough to believe them. Well, he doesn't take kindly to that, and he just flat out, well, he basically murders them in a rather cleanish way possible. He's a beast, but he does end up doing so. And to make matters worse, he eats them. Like, I'm not even kidding. He eats them. And the girl doesn't know it at first because that is a very soundproof kind of room. No one can see what's going on in there. It's supposed to be a very, think of it as like those timeout areas you have in school and such. And the walls are definitely soundproof. Samuel comes out and informs that they won't be bothering her anymore and that they probably weren't great friends anyways. But also brings up that making choices like that could lead to something that may end up being down a bad pathway. Yeah, it was. But here's the thing. Even if he did such a terrible thing, he actually brings up a point, including some words of wisdom. Now, this basically goes. Now, you may think this is the end of it. Oh, no. It goes a little further. Realizing that her friends probably will be out of the park. Samuel doesn't say that they left or anything. He doesn't even say anything else at all, and he just goes on his merry way. But say like a day or so later, no one basically suspects that these kids were basically gone. And, well, in the end, realization hits the fan. Samuel is pretty good at hiding evidence. He actually carries quite a good number of disposing evidences. And good cleanup, which is pretty fast. So yeah, Discover basically has clearly the idea that Samuel did do something, and now it's even more horrifying. But then again, did these people really deserve it? That's meant to be the moral and such. And also, don't take things that don't belong, especially if it's something very important. Otherwise, it will basically just not go accordingly, and it will just end badly. Yeah. So yeah, Samuel, he has his way of dealing with bad guests and such. Samuel basically gives out tickets when no one suspects it. And that moment with Lilith, her ability basically is to send dream images, but dreams can also resolve into nightmares. And she definitely had part in that. She knew she's basically Samuel's wife, and she knows that if something is missing, she's gonna make sure that things get restored and such. Now, if there is something, the owner, Ashton, they clearly have no idea these animatronics act very differently during late hours and such. And they treat the animatronics as their children and such, and the respect. And the animatronics, they are really, really grateful and such. They do care about the park, they care about each other, they care about the guests and have a good time and such. So they're not all bad, but some things you just don't expect. And that's the reason with these animatronics and how dangerous they can end up becoming when you least expect. Sometimes even the kindest ones could eventually snap. Now, that's pretty much what I've got thus far with the ideas and such. These animatronics are basically differences, how they appear, and just how exactly they're gonna look exactly. I want to know exactly what you guys think. That's all I basically gotta ask. Well, that's the Fnaf approach. I want to know exactly what you guys think. Oh, and one other thing. Speaking of Fnaf, I got something I want to show, and I promise you, these are actually. Oh, it's okay. I got something to show as well. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, these are the only two FNAF characters I have. Montgomery Gator and Roxanne Wolf. I'm pretty much not gonna lie. These two, they're really adorable and also really cool. Yep, that's exactly how I basically would say. Yes. Now, I'm gonna pretty much, like how I always do, this is mainly a voting. It's time for the voting, everyone, and there's only two left. Well, okay, these are kind of the other ideals, but you get the, but you'll know. Anyways, the yes, and this. Mainly, it's the voting. Now, I'm going to be very clear here. I want to know exactly one vote, because it seems that there's only at least that. Well, I guess this pretty much is it. You know, I think I might go with one of the ideas that I had next time. But for now, I hope you all found this interesting, and I'll see you all later, everyone. I may actually do some artwork too. So look forward to that. This is Dragon Lover 95. I'll see you later, my fellow dragons. See you all later. And another thing. See you all later.